You don't smoke, right? Marijuana?
No. So in high school, I smoked a lot of weed, but then I got out of the Marines and tried smoking, and this really weird thing happened to me where like I was getting like a lot of almost like pneumonia like symptoms. I had to go to the hospital like twice, and it was fucking up my stomach. I couldn't like shit, and I was having a lot of acid reflux and GERD and everything. And I was like, there's no way it could be the weed. No way it could be the weed. I was fine whenever I smoked before. And then, it had been like 3 months. I couldn't even eat. And then I stopped smoking and it got better. So then I took, 2 years probably off of smoking. And then I tried smoking again. Same thing happened. Some weird shit. I don't know if I have some kind of weird allergic reaction, but it messes my gut up. And like, I don't shit. And my food almost feels like it's like not digesting. Really weird. Even with edibles.
You probably just have some sort of sensitivity to it. So you used to smoke a lot. When did you start smoking?
Weed probably sophomore year of high school, I think.
Mm-hmm. You didn't have that problem back then?
No, I was a fucking stoner. I smoked all day.
Yeah. Like I said, I started smoking when I was 11. It was smoking weed all the time. And I never really had a negative effect from it at that point in time up until I got older. And then it was just, I think also because I just started making money. I was running a business and I was like, this is the worst thing I could fucking do. And every time I would smoke, I would just get anxious in my head. It's like, there's so much I could be doing right now. This is a waste of my time. And it's just that comfort thing. I've been doing it for so long. So it's not even the feeling of like wanting to be high. It's just the feeling of wanting to smoke something out of boredom. That's all it really was.
I've noticed like a lot with people that smoke. So like if they're not doing anything with their life, because a lot of potheads really like they're successful people that smoke, obviously, but there's a lot of them that are losers as well. And that stress and anxiety that you get from not doing anything with your life, they want to avoid that. And the smoking takes that away. It relaxes you. And so they smoke all day so they don't have to feel the stress or the anxiety from being a fucking loser. And they just keep getting high and high and high rather than facing the stress and the anxiety and looking at it like, hey, this is a sign you should probably do something with your fucking life. This is why you're depressed and beating your dick and smoking weed all day.
Yeah.
Like
it's escapism.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And people use the gym like an escapism too. Obviously it's not like as bad, but I feel like some people will be in the gym for like 3 or 4 hours just bullshitting and talking and not actually training. And they leave without even getting a good lift in because they're just using it to avoid doing other shit.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's a whole rabbit hole that we could go down here. But yeah, I mean, I don't think I've ever met anybody that has benefited from smoking. Like there's people who are successful that do it, but I've never seen anybody who is struggling to try to achieve a certain status smoke and have that be beneficial in any aspect. It's almost always detrimental, I would say, in like 99.9% of cases, that people just live in denial because it's widely accepted now. It's okay. It's not really that frowned upon, but I mean, it turns you, I don't want to sound like asshole, it turns you to a fucking loser. It really just does. It's that escapism.
Yep, I agree. Same thing with alcohol. I feel like, I don't know, if I got into like my conspiracy side of things, I feel like, the government society pushes drinking, smoking, all this stuff and normalize it now to make people fucking lazy. So they stay in this loop of just working 5 days a week. Here's your little fucking weekend that you can enjoy and then go back to hating your life for the other 5 days of the week. And they think that's normal versus if you just worked your ass off 7 days a week for a couple of years, you could break free of that, Oh
yeah, no, it's just, it comes back to the same thing every time. People are always just trying to chase comfort rather than embrace being uncomfortable. That's all it is, Yep. They say they want to do these things. They want to have this financial freedom, whatever it is. It's first of all, it's like unconceivable to them to begin with. I think they blame a lot of these things on people getting lucky, not being given the same opportunities. It's all bullshit. You hear it all the time. They work this 9 to 5, so they didn't think they don't have enough time, as if you can't work your 9 to 5, go to the gym and then study some type of skill for the 3 hours of the night and do that 7 days a week and use all the additional free time that you would have to actually bettering yourself and sacrifice that social time that you would have 4 years and have it pay off. Like it's very doable, but nobody wants to look at it that way. They want to justify it.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I always say people make their own luck, right? Luck is just increasing the likelihood of getting, opportunities in your life that will allow you to proceed forward further. I mean, doing the lottery even, that's, I guess a lot of people would call that lucky, but I mean, buying a bunch of scratch offs, you're increasing the likelihood of you hitting that jackpot. I mean, even that is like doing something, you know what I mean? Like, obviously it's like a different aspect of it, but I mean, still, and same with social media. Social media has made it easier to become successful for people. But because they don't have to put in as much work or go through as much adversity. They can get a little bit lucky. Sure, they're like putting themselves into that window of opportunity by making the videos. But I feel like that's why a lot of these kids that get big presences on social media really fast, they get these huge egos because they didn't take the time to build that success. And they get this big ego and they get very like naive and shit because they didn't learn all the lessons that come along with being successful over a long period of time that come with the struggle and adversity. And that's why you almost see all of them fall off at one point.
They didn't earn it. I mean, I don't want to say they didn't earn it, but when you go through shit and you deal with adversity and you have to work harder to get to where you are, like there's lessons that are learned on that within that. And, you know how to navigate situations and you are aware of the opportunity that is present rather than I know a lot of these kids, and a lot of these kids have never even worked a fucking job. Like they've never worked a job and they blow up and then they have no idea how to even start a business from that point on. They're just, oh, what do I do? I just rely on commissions, which, you know, some people can make a lot of fucking money on commissions, but the reality is that doesn't last forever. It really, it doesn't. You know, very few people have been able to just maintain that level of relevance in the industry for so long to the point where they're actually able to benefit just solely off of sponsorships. You have to be able to build something outside of that. And building anything it requires a lot of fucking difficult tasks. And these kids, they're presented this opportunity and a lot of them just don't know how to navigate. And then you see them fall off. They, you know, end up doing some other shit. And it is what it is. I think obviously when you go through shit and you work to get to where you are and then you're presented these opportunities, you're just much better equipped to handle them.
Oh yeah. I use the example of like, right. If you have a guy, person A, that was like inherited $1 million versus person B had to work for like 10 years and get $1 million. Person B, sure, they didn't have it easier, but life is always fair in a certain way. And now they're going to have the skills and the discipline, work ethic, mental toughness. They need to take that $1 million and grow it every single year versus person A. Sure, they had the $1 million off the bat and had it easier to get it, but they don't have the skills they need to grow it from there. And they don't appreciate it as much either. I mean, so life's always fair and kind of works out in a way that you might have not had it as easy as the person to get to the same spot, but you're going to get more out of it because it took you longer. And it was that delayed gratification versus instant gratification.
Exactly. And then when you have that delayed gratification programmed inside you, it's a huge contributor to knowing how to actually continue to work and play the long-term game. People that get quick rise to fame, hit the algorithm, it's like they want to keep repeating that, and it's not sustainable. They don't want to actually build something out long term.
Oh yeah, exactly. And a lot of guys I've noticed too in the fitness industry specifically, they do what you just said, where they try to keep going viral by doing viral shit, and you know they justify it in their head of like, oh, I'm doing something that's, you know, morally correct or whatever, because their entire personality and who they are, their confidence, all this stuff is derived from their followers, the likes and the views. So they don't know who the fuck they are if they're not gaining followers. And then you always see this, they go from, oh, I'm a runner now, I'm a biker now, I'm a bodybuilder now, because they don't have any fucking substance. They don't know who they are as a person because they made social media their life rather than using it as a tool to document their life.
Exactly. Yeah. You see, they hit the algorithm and then they just repeat that same process, the formula, which, no, there's obviously a method to it that you can utilize, but it's all it's all about the mindset behind it. A lot of these people just don't have that mentality. They're just focused on how do I just get these numbers over and over again. There's no actual plan to that. It's like those numbers don't just automatically convert to anything. First of all, you see how many guys have millions of followers and are fucking broke because they have no substance to their content whatsoever. You don't know anything about them. They just try to push out this content to try to get views and think this is going to make me rich. It's not going to make you rich. It's going to leave you unfulfilled. And, you know, you might get a little money short term, but then what's going to happen, 5 years from now? Because nobody fucking knows anything about you. Nobody's following for you. They're following you because you posted some funny shit that people like in the moment, I guess.
Yeah, and then they fall off. Like I almost get mad whenever I have like a video that goes like viral or whatever, and it's something stupid because I get followers from that, and that might not be like the majority of what my content's about. And now it's going to bring in followers that expect that kind of content. Like I'll have like a funny video every now and then that I post and like gain a bunch of followers from it. But it's like, that's not primarily what my content is. And then those people don't interact with my primary form of content. And it makes the videos I actually care about not do as well. So sometimes I think like slow and steady is, the better way. Obviously going viral every now and then is good, but slow and steady following, I feel like is going to be more loyal over time as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think it's really like up to you, right? Like, people, everybody's trying to go viral. That's the thing, is not trying to have the intention of trying to always go viral. Like, you're putting content out there that pertains to whatever it is that you want to do, whatever value or substance you want to provide, whatever you foresee yourself doing. But I think the issue with that is a lot of people don't even have a plan. They have no idea what they're even doing. They're just posting. So that's a whole nother thing. And then they have this identity crisis years after, and they're like, I don't even know what the fuck I'm doing. I don't know who I am. And you see this a lot in the OnlyFans culture too. You see, girls starts popping off, they're attractive, and this is the easiest way to make money. And then what happens to a bunch of them years after? I'm religious now. I'm reborn. What happened?
All men are horrible. No shit. You made the fucking pool, the dating pool for yourself so small because any successful or decent guy doesn't want a girl that was showing her ass all over fucking OnlyFans. Like,
it's all rooted in the short-term satisfaction. I'm not gonna shit on anybody. It's just like the repetitive pattern that we see over and over again.
Oh yeah, that's something I wrote in my notes the other day. Actually, is like I make videos around that kind of stuff a lot of times, and people will comment like, why does this make you so mad, or why this or that, and I'm like, more liberal people, like their whole personality and everything they think of all fucking day is like politics and all this other bullshit. And it's like, I usually make a video about something I had a 10-second thought about and I thought it'd make a good video, and then it disappears. Like, it didn't make me that mad. Like, it's just like, do what you want with your life, but like, I'm just telling you what the consequences will be so that you can think about it,
I mean, I don't think that content ever really gets them to really change them. If they're already in that direction, it's one of those things where you have to go through it. You have to experience, and people experience things in different ways throughout life. And at the end of the day, everything's a fucking lesson, right? You make that decision. That's your choice. At the end of the day, I wouldn't say, dwell on it, regret it, and put so much time and energy into that. But that's just the path you chose to take. It is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's like, I always feel like regrets, they can be some of those powerful things to like launch you forward into being successful and changing yourself if you use them correctly. But a lot of people don't. Like, one thing I did was, like, in the Marines, I wasted so much fucking time telling myself I was bulking, but really I was just getting fucked up every weekend, eating like shit, and I was fat the whole time, and telling myself, oh, I'm bulking. I wasted all that time. I could have been making progress, but like, that's what drives me now to not go off plan, like, fucking ever, because I don't ever want to experience that wasted time feeling again.
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't say that regret. It's more so just the awareness, being able to actually reflect and use that to your advantage and see what you can gain from it. Because you're sitting there regretting, it's just a waste of time. Why did I do this? I fucking hate myself for this. It doesn't do anything. It's really a waste of energy. See what you did. Why did you do it? Try to understand it. What did you gain from that? And how can you use that to move yourself forward, whatever the situation is?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's no point in dwelling on shit that happened already. You can't go in the past, can't change it. So
yeah, I mean, I get guys all the time, probably on a weekly basis with check-ins. I fucked up this week, and they're like all stressed out about it. It's like, there's no point. Now first of all, you're leading into this week with more cortisol. It's going to affect this week. You're not in a mentally good spot. Just, it is what it is. It doesn't matter. Should it happen? No, but like, that. Don't let it happen again. Stop getting into your fucking head and overthinking so much about this. You have anything you have no control of is a waste of your energy to try to put all that thought into. It's like, there's no point at all.
Yeah, I get the same thing, and I tell them the same thing. It's like, happened already. Remember the feeling of regret that you experienced, and if you feel like you're going to go cheat again, just remember, do you want to feel that? Is that couple seconds of eating that food worth having to deal with days worth of regret and being like, why did I do that? No, it never is. It's a second of satisfaction just to feel good for a moment of eating some bullshit. Like, it's
just something you got to experience. You got to go through it. It's the only way you learn. It's the only way you learn in situations. Some people have to go through shit a lot before they realize it. You see it all the time. Relationships, people go through the same thing, shitty relationships, toxic behaviors, whatever it is. They keep going back and back and back until eventually something clicks. It doesn't matter if it's the first time or 3-4 times after. It's just how it is. But let's I guess we just started off rambling there. Let's introduce you for anybody who doesn't know you. It's Seth Krug. It's a buddy of mine, also my client. How long have you been working together for now?
A year and a half now, actually. It was December of 2022. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So a good while here. I wanted to get you on because I know that you have a lot of good viewpoints. We have a good conversation here regarding just adversity, masculinity, all that good stuff. But anybody that doesn't know who you are, why don't you give us just a quick background on you? You're a Marine. You're trying to be a competitor.
Yeah. So I joined the Marine Corps 2017. I was in the infantry for 3 years and 4 months. I herniated a disc in my back, so obviously couldn't do my job anymore properly. So got out a little bit early. And then from there, I tried to do college twice, dropped out, and then decided to say fuck it and tried to go coaching full time. And since then, I've been coaching full time and trying to, take bodybuilding as far as I can. So,
okay, now, so you left the Marines what year?
2020.
2020, so 4 years ago. And are you coaching full time now?
Yeah, I've been coaching full time for a year in August.
Okay, and how did that transpire? What were you doing prior to that?
Yeah, so pretty much, right, whenever you get out of the Marine Corps or military in general, you get the GI Bill. So I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to do coaching or something online full time because after my time in the Marine Corps, I realized I do not want anybody in charge of me ever again because the Marine Corps is the ultimate, you're getting fucked every day and there's nothing you can do about it. They have full control of your life. You're living at your job. So you're just in this constant state of stress while you're there. So I already had this mindset of I never want to work for anybody again. So I went to college for accounting because I was like, you know what? It's free. It's paid for. I might as well just go while I figure out exactly what I want to do. And then I hated accounting. I did that for a year. It wasn't for me. So then I decided to change schools and go for exercise science because I was like, oh, that'll directly correlate to coaching. And so I was trying to do coaching full time while I was going for that exercise science degree and kind of just using college as like a safeguard because I didn't want to tell people that I was, doing nothing with my life. I wanted to be able to say like, oh, I'm going to school right now rather than, trying to do coaching full time. I guess I was afraid of other people's opinions and stuff. Plus it's always good to, a lot of people say just don't go to school, but you should have some kind of proof of concept that you're capable of doing whatever it is you want to do. So then I stopped going to that school and I started working at a life insurance agency while trying to do the coaching. So there's this pattern here where I keep trying to do two things at once rather than just putting all of my energy into one thing. So I stopped doing that life insurance thing in August of 2020. What was that? 2023. And then I had my biggest month for coaching, obviously that month. And I showed myself that I could do it full time. And so then I just decided to take it full time, started focusing on my content. And from there, the rest is pretty much history.
Okay. Then what school did you go to?
Do you know where IUP is?
IUP in Pennsylvania.
Indiana University of Pennsylvania. Yeah, it's a big party school up here.
Yeah, it's like north of Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And then the second school is, do you know Slippery Rock?
Yeah, it's also north. No?
Yeah. Yeah. So I went to both of those.
Yeah, they would all come down to Pittsburgh, just outside in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You're in that area? You're further out?
Yeah, I'm in Cranberry, so I'm like 30 miles outside of Pittsburgh, or 30 minutes, not miles.
Okay. Yeah, I know you train over at what is it? It's Powerhouse. Now. It used to be Body Tech. That's where I used to go with John.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, it used to be Body Tech, now it's Powerhouse. So it's a good gym. Lots of more hardcore bodybuilder type dudes there, which is cool.
Yeah, that was always the cool gym. There's also a Merifit up there too in Green Tree. You know where that is?
I got my first coach. I don't know if you know Bill. He's like an Olympia coach, but he was my first coach for a while. So, but he worked out of there.
Okay. Yeah. I might know who you're talking about, but okay, cool. So you're trying to juggle all these things at once. You started taking coaching full time. And at that point, when you decided to go full in on coaching, were you already making like a sustainable amount from it, or you just?
I was doing a decent bit of money. I think it was like $4,000 a month, something like that. And then whenever I did that August, my first time full time, then I did 22,000 that month, and I was like, oh shit, like I actually betting on myself and putting all my time and energy into this would actually pay off, and that's whenever I decided to just go full time.
Yeah. Do you have any plans to do anything other than coaching?
So me and a couple buddies are working on making like a coaching business more so, where we have coaches underneath of us and teach them not like a coaching coaching coaches, like business mentorship kind of thing. Not like that, like a bodybuilding team and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what we're working towards right now.
Okay. Yeah. The difficult thing about that is finding people who are actually
qualified.
Good coaches. Yeah, good coaches.
Yeah, that's the thing that we were talking about is like, do you know Art of Aesthetics, Josh Quick, by chance?
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, he's one of the guys that I'm talking. Do you know Tristan Husby, I think, as well?
No, I know Josh though.
Okay, yeah. So Josh and I are pretty good friends, and he's the one that I'm talking to with it. So, but yeah, obviously finding good coaches because there's completely oversaturated, especially with like the whole teaching coaches how to be coaches thing. It's very oversaturated, and like getting all these kids that just want to chase money rather than caring about coaching into the business. And it's giving a lot of people, I think, as well, bad coaching experiences. And then I can't even tell you how many, I'm sure you too, obviously, have gotten a lot of clients that have told you like about how they had these horrible experiences with past coaches and they almost didn't sign up again because they were so afraid of it. And it's like a lot of these coaches that are being coached by other coaches that are just in it for the money and don't put any time or effort into their clients, and pretty much can potentially ruin their life. Because like if they would have had a good coach right off the bat, they could have changed their entire physique, gained all this confidence and discipline from it, and changed their whole life around. But because they had that bad experience, they probably lost confidence in themselves and were like, fuck, I can't even do this, and then never tried again. So that should piss me off.
This industry is insane. No, I've gotten plenty of clients from even some of the top coaches like in bodybuilding, like that have the most highly respected levels and have heard crazy stories about this stuff. But aside from that, just, the amount of people that are being drawn into coaching now, because it's like a pyramid scheme at this point. It's fucking insane. There's no regulation in this industry. So it's ridiculous. It's like everybody, they train for a year and then there's some guy on here that's like, I'll teach you how to make $10,000 a month. And then, that guy's continuing to posting, and you see this with a bunch of people. They keep posting that they're making more and more money, but the money is actually coming from the business coaching. It's not coming from the fitness coaching. So they're fucking, it's an illusion, right? I'm making $50,000 a month. I'm making $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a month. And it's because he's charging people more and more money for business coaching. That's where the money's coming from. And now not only sure, that's fine if these people are qualified to be coaches. The problem is that there's no regulation. These kids are all getting into this just with the sole intention of, this is an easy way to make money, not knowing anything about coaching. And you'll even see them say, I don't know how to be a coach. Why start coaching? It's like, I'll teach you right now. I'll teach you how to use AI to coach. I'll teach you how to, have these automated. It's fucking insane. They're literally like advocating for ghost coaching, and it's becoming normalized. And I came across profile yesterday. I screenshot it because it's just fucking hilarious. It like sums up the state of the fitness industry right now. And just in one screenshot, one bio. I don't know if you can see this. Can you read this?
Over 2 years experience in the gym, I help young men build school community. Yep, that's spot on.
That's the fitness industry in a nutshell right now.
Yep.
That's it right there.
That sums it up perfectly in fucking 3 sentences.
That's crazy. It's insane.
Yeah, it is insane. And it's kind of sad too. It's like, because it goes hand in hand with this people not wanting to go to college, hustle culture. And it just seems like such an easy thing to do because guys are already interested in fitness. They like working out. And then they're like, combine the two mindsets and they think that they can be a coach. And it's shitty and sad because like just like yourself, I'm sure you've changed a lot of people's fucking lives with coaching, and you can see what a good coach does. Like you can literally change someone's entire life around, and you can be the difference of them like being a better husband, being a better boyfriend, being a better father, whatever. And then they get this shitty coach instead, and they lose confidence in themselves because whenever you try to do something and then you fail at that thing, you lose serotonin, you lose confidence, and that makes it more difficult to achieve another goal because you're already down on yourself and feel like you're less capable. And so they're fucking more people over just for like some short-term satisfaction, because I highly doubt a lot of these people too are going to keep coaching because it's not going to be sustainable. They won't get good transformations, which they won't have any proof of concept that they're a decent coach because they aren't. And it's whole fuck thing.
I mean, the crazy thing about that is that a lot of these guys are charging insane amounts of money and people are paying it. They're hiring them for coaches. But a lot of these guys, I mean, you go to my profile, I have hundreds of testimonials posted. A lot of these guys have literally like 1 or 2 or 3 testimonials posted, and they're still charging $600, $800, $1,000 a month and making a lot of fucking money. A lot of money. I don't even know if you're listening to this. Do not sign with any coach if there's no proof. If there's no proof that it doesn't matter. This is the whole thing too. There's a lot of educators in this field, right? A lot of educators that have no practical application. you know, and science-based educator, you know, I'm listening to this guy. This guy's done nothing for anybody. He's not changed anybody's physique, has not done anything in actual practical application. We could sit here and review literature all day without any context taken into consideration. I can make you think that I'm a genius just based off of regurgitating this study right here. But I've never done the work. So like, why would you hire that person? It's insane. It's like hiring a lawyer that is just regurgitating you what's in the textbook versus the guy that's been doing it for 30 years. And it's like, oh, it's not that complicated. It's like, oh, the textbook says this though. So that's only what we've come to.
Yeah. Because they have no idea how to actually apply it. And like half of coaching, obviously, you know, the training program, nutrition programs are very important, but like also helping people with their mindset of getting through the struggles and adversities that come with it. You can't help someone with that. You can read all the fucking mindset books and podcasts and all the shit you want, but unless you've actually been through it, you can't relate enough to the people to give them proper advice on how to get through these things too. And like a lot of these guys that have only been training for a year or 2 years, like all they got were newbie gains. You can do almost anything in the gym and get gains from that. And so they don't actually, that's one of the things that just blows me away is these kids that are so fucking egotistical because they had a 1, 2, 3 year transformation. And they're telling guys that have been training for 10 years what to do and what's wrong. And it's like, do you not understand that your body doesn't want to put muscle on? As you put more muscle on, it becomes more difficult. You need to perfect things more and more. And so like you were in this newbie stage where it was super easy. You could do almost anything to put on muscle. So as you get to this spot where your body's like, fuck no, man, we don't need this muscle. It needs to get more perfected. And they don't get that because they haven't had to do it. And they're like, oh no, you can train this way and get huge. And it's like, yeah, at the beginning stages, but not whenever you're actually have a decent bit of muscle mass and you need to fight for it.
Yeah, not at all. I mean, there's a huge disconnect between bodybuilding and the fitness industry. A lot of people don't realize that. Like everybody, like nobody realizes that until they get to that point. They all want to look like Chris Bumstead, but they don't realize that that's not. This it's a whole different ball game. Besides what compared to what you fucking are doing, you know, 2, 3, 4 years into training. Like you could have done fucking anything. You really could have. Like, I don't care if you trained the dumbest way or the most science-based, most optimally way on literature. Like, you probably would have gotten the same fucking results, honestly, at that point in time. Like, it's when you are more advanced, when all this shit comes into play. And even then, like the shit that you see them regurgitate, all the literature, it's not how it works in practical application. I saw it. Do you know Brett Wilkin?
I think I follow him on Instagram, yeah.
Well, Brett's fucking huge. Brett's an animal, but it's just funny because a lot of these kids like say this stuff and they're not aware of what these guys actually do. And Brett just posted like a reel just going over his chest workout. I just saw a comment. It was like, this is so redundant. Like, there's so much, you don't need to do this. And Brett was just like thumbs up. And I was just like, fuck, like they're discovering bodybuilders. They're discovering this. This isn't good.
Discovering the reality of the situation, not living in their little fantasy land.
Yeah. It's insane. And it's, I don't know. It's an issue. What the fuck are you going to do about it? There's nothing you can really do about it. It is what it is. Real will always recognize real. I know there's a lot of people, the people who always want to argue are the loudest, but there's obviously a lot of people who are listening at the end of the day too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day too, like you said earlier, people are really only going to learn through experience. A lot of people will nod their head and say they understand, but it doesn't really hit home until they experience it. So you just got to let people, whatever, they can say what they want.
Yeah. You know? I did an episode with, David Ziegler the other day. You know what that is?
Yeah, I follow him on TikTok. Yeah,
he made a good point. He said that this was the first time in social media era, really, because we have the presence of Reels, Shorts, TikTok, where, you know, you remember you were in elementary school, middle school, or whatever, and did you guys line up outside before school or something like that? Did you ever do that?
No.
Or you would go on a fire drill.
Yeah.
And all the grades are outside together.
Mm-hmm.
So you could be in 7th grade and you'll have 3rd grade over here or whatever. You just have everybody in this wide age gap difference, together and able to communicate. And that was never really a thing. You would never have a 35-year-old be able to talk and have a 13-year-old come in and now think that he is a voice. But now that's how it is. Now the 3rd grader could come up to you and be like, hey, fucking the sky is red. And you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? You can't argue with him because he's a child, but that's literally how it is now. So we have, grown adults educating, trying to put this information, but then you have, I don't want to say they're actually 3rd graders, but relatively just very young kids who are they're not able to conceive anything past what they know. It's just not even fathomable. So it's you can't even acknowledge it. There's literally no point in having a discussion. You're not going to tell a 3rd grader the sky is blue when he's at that level of intelligence.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. They're just not capable of actually comprehending it yet. That's why a lot of times I used to go through comments, but like, I don't even really read them anymore because it's just, I've gotten to the point. I used to go back and forth with people, you know, a year, 2 years ago, but it's like you said, I got to the point where I realized that you can't actually get through to a lot of them. A lot of them just, they aren't capable of comprehending it, either just because of how intelligent they are or because their emotions are so powerful that it is literally blocking their capability of thinking logically and reasonably, which is just absolutely blows my fucking mind sometimes. How some people, you can give them all the graphs, show them all the evidence that you're correct about something, and they still will not be able to comprehend it because they feel so emotionally attached to whatever their viewpoint is on something. It's just insane.
It's a lack of intelligence. We have Dunning-Kruger largely present. Everybody thinks they're smarter than they are. And then, yes, the lack of emotional intelligence as well. Nobody wants to be wrong. They lack the self-awareness to see that the position that they're actually in. And it's just, you know, fucking, what are you going to do? I just block everybody at this point. That's what I've always done, though. I just let it block everybody. Like, I'll see a comment. It's like, because, you know, you can't argue. And I know that I'm putting out information out here. And I'm trying, like, the whole point of this is a business, right? It's all revolved around business. It's not just for fucking shits and giggles, right? So if somebody comments and they're like, oh, like, actually, you know, you could eat one meal a day. It's fine. Just, all right, blocked. Because, you know, you have no use here. You have no use whatsoever. Like, I'm not going to sit here and try to explain this to you in 40 character comment. It's over. You're gone. But then I'll get DMs all the time on Instagram from random profiles. Hey, can you unblock me? I'm sorry. I have like hundreds of those messages, as if I'm going to go through fucking my block list and try to find users to unblock them.
I remember before you started coaching me, I saw you telling people like that you were blocking them or whatever. Just like, oh, I love that. It kills me.
And then they get mad over it. Another profile's created. Oh, you blocked me. Like, it's that's how emotionally invested these people get to. Like, what do you think is going to happen when you go and create a fake profile and then come back and say, why'd you block me? You know,
yeah.
Just get blocked again. Like, what do you think this is? I don't know you. You're a random dude on the internet. It's I don't know. It's funny. The internet's crazy, but
oh yeah, that's what you just said about you're a random dude on the internet. That cracks me up as well. Like all these people that like they think that you really care about like their opinion of you and stuff, and it's like I don't know who the fuck you're a random dude sitting on your couch commenting on my video. What makes you think that I care about what you think of my physique or anything that I'm saying? Like I don't give a fuck. I don't know who you are.
It's delusion. It's interesting to me because it's just the way the human psyche is. That's why it fucking boggles my mind so much that people are this way. Like people will say, "Oh, you're mad." It's like I've never posted anything out of anger. Like I'm not emotional or irrational whatsoever. It's just things blow my mind. So I'm like, wow, this is crazy how you guys literally can't comprehend this. Like it's insane to me. And there's really no use in breaking it down. But sometimes it's just easy content to make. But people will actually convince themselves, like, "Oh, you're so mad right now." It's like, okay, like I don't even know where this is coming from because I didn't laugh and smile in the video. I'm having a roid rage attack.
That's one thing. My videos are pretty similar to yours sometimes in like my tone of voice and everything. And it's like something that I think sometimes too is like, do you just want me to speak monotone? Like who's gonna fucking listen to my video or pay attention to it if I'm just monotone with no levels to my voice or anything? But you're perceiving that as me being angry or upset. I'm not. I just think it's hilarious most of the time. Like I don't really give a fuck.
Man, I'll watch a lot of this stuff back, and it's entertaining to me. A lot of the shit I post is because it's literally just entertaining to me. It's fucking hilarious. But I guess that's a lot of people don't get it. They don't get the sarcasm. No. Every time I do lives, people are like, "Why are you so angry?" I'm like, "Bro, like I'm literally just sitting here answering your questions. Like, what are you talking about? What am I supposed to be doing? Dancing? Like, I don't understand. Well, why am I angry?" But yeah, it's funny.
A lot of people too. I get comments like they'll be like, "Oh, well, you made a whole video on this. Like, you must be really angry about it." And it's like, dude, this took me fucking 60 seconds to make out of my day, and it probably got me clients or got me followers. No shit, I'm gonna make a comment. That doesn't mean I'm angry. Just because your entire life is on social media watching other people's videos doesn't mean mine is. Because like a lot of people that make videos don't watch content. Like I'm on Instagram or TikTok very little amount of time during the day because like I hate social media. I post on it. It's good for, it's good for business, but like other than that, it's just brain rot.
Yeah, it's absolutely awful. I don't think people realize that like a lot of times like you play shit up because it's what works. You play you'll act. I don't know. It's not even more aggressive. It's just like you pronounce your voice more. Like you'll say things in a way to like grab attention and people will interpret it that way, which obviously, you know, that not surprised, but
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
I just like, I can see anything and logically think about it. I can understand why somebody is doing something and be able to see beyond just the layer of what is presented to me at face value.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's like anytime I go into a discussion with somebody, I like will put myself in their shoes, try to understand where they're coming from. And like, I'll even say to people like, look, I completely get why you're perceiving what I'm saying this way or why you perceive me that way. And they still are so defensive, even though you're trying to relate to them. And it's just, yeah, it's always amazing to me because I'm just like, how are you this just fucking dumb? Like, like you can't even just have a normal conversation. You're so hyped up and you're so emotional about whatever it is they're talking about.
Yeah, so more than 90% of the time, it's a waste of time. There's nothing you can do. But
it's sad, but you know, it is what it is.
Tell me, how do you think the Marines played a role in the way you are now, the development that you got from it?
Yeah, definitely. So obviously, like I said before, I was in the Marine Corps infantry, right? A lot of people don't understand within the military, there's different jobs. So in the Marine Corps, there's fucking just normal desk jobs. Sure, they PT and stuff. But whenever you're in the infantry, you do these things called field ops where like, you know, we'll have a full kit on, which is long sleeves, long pants, your boots, your rifle, your flak, your Kevlar, and then an 80-pound pack on your back as well. And you're in the North Carolina heat and humidity. It's like 90 degrees and you're rucking like 12, 15 miles to the field. And, you know, I've had times where my legs, I mean, you know what it feels like to get a cramp. My quad's literally cramping up where most people would be like falling on the ground because it hurts so bad, but you can't stop. Like you'll get fucked up if you stop. So you just got to keep going. So then on top of that, then you're hiking even further into the woods, digging a hole for like 6 hours. And, you know, the machine gunners are an essential part of like a defensive position. So they can come over and take your hole from you. Then you got to go dig another hole somewhere else, another 6 hours. And then you're in the field for 2 weeks, blah, blah, blah. So we did a lot of hard shit, a lot of struggle, a lot of adversity. And the thing with the Marine Corps is I look at it, so I was kind of lucky because the reason a lot of people struggle with adversity and in the civilian world is that they aren't forced to go through it versus in the Marine Corps, we were kind of forced to. The consequences were too high to give up and quit. So going through all that struggle and adversity, and like I said before too, you know, you're living at work. People can come into your room at any moment and start questioning you and fuck you up if you get questions wrong. Like we have to know all of this stuff verbatim, like a 9 line. That's the line you call up for a helicopter if somebody's shot. You have to know that under high amount of stress so that the helicopter can get off the ground fast and save somebody. So your life is just nonstop stress, struggle. They're making everything as hard as it possibly can. So you're living for 3-4 years under all this stress, going through all this struggle and adversity. So now your new normal, your new baseline for stress is like an 8. So then whenever I got out, stuff that would be an 8 for somebody else is super easy for me. It makes it a 4 because my threshold for stress is way fucking higher. And I've also been through all that struggle and adversity that I was forced to go through. And that opened my eyes up, that opened my mind to what I'm actually capable of. Because a lot of people will be like, oh, I'm so depressed. I can't get out of bed. I can't go work out or do whatever. And it's like in the Marines, unless you actually tried to shoot yourself in your head, tried to OD on pills or something, it doesn't matter how much you say you're going to kill yourself. You're still going on the field up. You're still doing whatever. It doesn't matter how sick you are. Even if the doctors, for example, when I heard the disc in my back, they couldn't just not let me do stuff because I could have been lying about it. They didn't give me an MRI for 8 months until like whenever I initially said it. So I still had to go do shit, even though I had a nerve fucking pinched and I had all this shooting pain going through me. Like they don't give a fuck. So you're forced to go through this shit. And so now I know out here when I'm being a little pussy ass bitch and I'm under no delusion of what I can and can't do, which is what a lot of people, they try to rationalize the excuses they're making in their head whenever they're trying to go through struggle and adversity. And it feels valid in their head. Like, oh, I am so depressed. I can't get out of bed. Well, guess what, motherfucker? If you have 3 people in your face screaming at you, telling you you're going to do something, you're going to go do it. And you're going to learn real quick that you were capable of doing it. You were just being a pussy. So it definitely helped me to realize that you're capable of doing a lot more than you realize, and you're capable of withstanding a lot more stress than you realize, but you need to be put into that stress to increase your stress threshold because things are only going to be as hard as the amount of difficult things that you've encountered in your life. which is why like something that I do that is a 9 for someone else might only be a 3 for me. So you need to put yourself into the struggle and adversity, into stressful situations to increase that threshold for stress.
That's a great point.
That was a long one.
That's a great point. Yeah. Increase your mental fortitude, your perception of what's difficult. It's great, man. I've had these conversations with quite a few people on the podcast now, but it's just the role of adversity is so fucking big in the development that you have. I think especially as a man, but I mean, even as a woman, if you're trying to, do and accomplish things, any person on earth, really, like adversity and overcoming these things is going to define you. You either succumb to it or you overcome it, and you overcome it, you're going to gain something from it. I think it's extremely important for children to be active, play sports, like learning that from a young age, because you have these kids that were never active and then they get thrown into shit and they are not equipped to deal with these situations. The whole iPad generation. Oh, fucking, I'm depressed. I don't want to get up. I don't want to go to school. I don't want to go to work. It's like, bro, like you have no fucking idea how easy your life has been. It's funny because I feel like I sound like a fucking boomer saying this, but it's all true. It's all insanely true. And, I went to jail. A lot of the being in jail, I'm assuming it probably, I don't know how it compares to the Marines, but a lot of the same concepts there. Like you have no choice. Your life is controlled. You have nothing. It doesn't matter how depressed I am, how I want to fucking kill myself. Like I have to get up and do this shit right now. That's it. Like there's no option. Learning how to be present, learning how to like deal with those emotions so that you're not just basically in this miserable state 24/7. You develop better stress management skills. And then, once you're done with that, like you said, you got out, your perception of what's difficult is so skewed. Like everything just seems it's light work. Like this is light work. I fucking can work all day. I can, work 2 jobs. Like there's nothing I can't do after what I've been through. Right. It's just nothing amounts to. And then something that I always try to tell people and what I always do for myself is always put yourself in uncomfortable situations. When you are not being faced with adversity in life directly, you need to create it. And this could be terrible financial advice, but something that I've always done is I would go, get a more expensive place or spend more money just because now I have this sense of urgency where it's like, fuck, I'm spending, $5,000 a month in rent. I need to make more money now. Like I was making this much now I'm spending 3 times more. It's the only option here is I'm going to lose a bunch of money and I'm going to fucking fail and I'm going to end up in a shitty position, or I'm going to use this as a fuel to the fire for a reason for me to figure some shit out and to 10x the income. Like this is the way that I've always operated. It's always worked for me that way too, because it just creates that sense of, like anxious uncomfortableness where it's, I need to make something happen here.
Yeah, 100%. That's, and that's huge because something that I see a lot is guys that get out of the Marine Corps and they get a taste for that comfort, which then leads to them getting complacent. And then they are afraid of the struggle and the adversity and they forget what they had been through in the past. And they only seek out comfort at that point and get more and more complacent. That's why you see a lot of vets that like, they'll go from being this badass Marine or whatever, capable of doing all this shit. And now they're just working this shitty job they hate and drinking every fucking weekend. And it's because they failed to continue to put themselves through the struggle and adversity that got them there. And, mental toughness, discipline, all these things, they're perishable. They go away if, like you said, you don't continue to sharpen them and stay on top of that. They'll go away. Just because you were disciplined or a mentally tough person at one point in your life doesn't mean you are anymore.
Yeah. Now, this is also comes back to when you're building a business and people would say like, make more money, you got to spend more money. And I think comes back to what I was saying. I think not necessarily that's necessary in the aspect of just from being able to scale and grow a business. Like, yeah, there's some more financial responsibility. Like you're going to have to spend more money. But I think one of the biggest reasons that I see for it is just the driving force. There's a driving factor of spending more money that comes with it. And it's not like it's relative, right? It's not like if I make $10,000 a month and I, spend X amount of money, I'm just going to equate to that so that I'm saving the same amount. It goes up. Like it's like 3X, 5X, 10X. It's just a byproduct of that, because you could easily, I'm sure you've experienced this as, you start building a business, you can get to the point where you're comfortable. Like you can live a comfortable life. You can make 10, 15K a month and be chilling and you can be fine with it. All right. Like, there's what is the driving force now? There's nothing driving you to continue to scale that number because now you're comfortable. You're making way more than you would have made at a job. There's nothing really pushing you forward. There's no fear at that point. But if you have these aspirations and if you want to do that, that's fine. If you want to live your life that way, like Anybody can do what the fuck they want. But if you have these aspirations of I want to live this insanely financially free life and be at this fucking top level, like you need to create the sense of urgency. And that's where it comes into. It's okay. Now I'm going to move into a fucking penthouse or whatever. Now I'm going to stop spending $1,000 a month rent. I'm going to start spending $6,000 a month because now my expense is just fucking 6x or whatever. So now I have to compensate for that. It's not just, I won't be comfortable anymore.
Yeah. And that's a lot of people see that externally on the outside and they're like, oh, so-and-so is being stupid for buying that car, that house or whatever. But they don't realize what you're saying, that mental side of it, because they've never, purposely put themselves in that situation and used that stress and that anxiety to drive them to push harder. They just crumple underneath of it. So they don't understand that it's a toll to push you harder.
Yeah, exactly. When I bought those, I moved here, I bought 2 cars and I bought them both in cash. I spent a good amount of money in cash. Bought those both cars straight in cash because it was just like, for one, if I have the money, why am I going to spend it on interest? This is not financial advice. It's just the way that my mind works. But it's like, now I have this huge lump sum, 6 figures leaving my bank account. Fuck. Like, now I got to do something. Now that needs to come back fast. I need that back fast. What am I going to do? And it just creates urgency. It creates work ethic. And it's just effective for me, at least. Maybe not everybody's not like that, but I think most people would be. It's just the mental fortitude you need to have, because a lot of people just, again, adversity, you either overcome it or you succumb to it. Unfortunately, a lot of people do succumb to it and they play the victim and, act like everything in life happens to them rather than for them.
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty much, it's making yourself have that broke man's mindset of you always got to stay hungry. You always got to have something you're chasing for, because it's super easy to, reach a certain level of success. Like you said, get comfortable. And then as you get comfortable, obviously you're going to start to get complacent. But the problem is that most people never stay where they are. They either are growing or they're going to get worse. A lot of people don't know how to maintain that comfortability and a good balance between comfort while still putting themselves through some struggle in adversity to stay where they are at that income, for example. And so then they start to get more and more complacent because they're getting more and more comfortable. Then their income starts to go down even further. And then they're fucked pretty much most of the time.
Are there any things that you do to purposely bring adversity or uncomfortable situations into your life?
Yeah. So like I got, this one's funny. A lot of people talk about like cold plunges for, it's going to boost your testosterone or this or that. I never did it for that. I bought one because I felt myself starting to get a little bit comfortable in life. And so I just started getting in 35-degree water every morning for 5 minutes because it fucking sucked. It was never fun. It was always horrible, but I literally noticed it directly correlate to that next cut we did. I didn't have a single cheat meal. I didn't even have the urge to have a cheat meal the entire time. That was probably the first cut I had done where like I stuck to the plan to a fucking T. And it was because I was forcing myself to do that. And just little shit like that, just little moments of struggle. Some of my clients, even I've had them do like a cold shower in the morning for like 3 to 5 minutes. And they're like, I thought this was kind of stupid whenever you first told me, but I'm actually finding that it's easier to get through my cut and stuff because I'm going through that and kind of building a little bit of mental toughness.
Yeah, definitely. The cold plunge fucking sucks. I do it twice a week, every week right now. And every time I go in there, it's part of just the physical therapy that I do for post-op. I always like contemplate. There's always in my back of my mind, like, should I just say that I'm in a rush and we shouldn't do this today? Like every time, because then I got to drive an hour back. My fucking underwear is soaked. It's freezing in there. It does get easier every time, which is cool because like the first couple times fucking suck, but it gets easier. But every time it's like you have that thought, and anytime I have that thought regarding anything, it's just like you have to snap yourself back into it. It's like, no, because I'm having this thought is the exact reason why I'm going to do it now. This is the exact reason why I'm going to do it, because I don't want to do it. That's exactly why I'm going to do it now.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. That's a lot of people. They don't realize a lot of these decisions, like that moment before the cold plunge, it's literally like a 5-second decision in your head. Where if you build up the mental toughness, your brain, your subconscious, it's going to directly realize, okay, like it's going to fight against that. And it's going to be a lot easier to make the decision to do the hard thing. And the more comfort you put into your life, it gets harder. But, that moment and taking the time to reflect on those moments and learning in that exact second to recognize what's happening in your head before the excuse gets too far out of hand is when you got to just take action and jump in. Like my girlfriend got in the cold plunge and she was bawling her fucking eyes out. Oh, it was so bad. She just didn't expect it to be that cold, and she was crying so hard. But it took her like 5 minutes to get in. She was hyping herself up way too much, and I had to like force her to. But
does she do it often?
No, she did it once, and that was it. She was like, nope, no more. But another thing I did too was, yeah, she was. I have a video of it on my phone. I felt kind of bad afterwards because she was literally bawling her eyes out.
Torture.
Yeah, I'm not abusive. I'm not abusive, but
just submerge her in cold water.
Another thing, oh god,
I was just say because then you once you like go through those things, you're programming yourself to see everything a certain way. You're on your diet, you have these cravings, and it's like you come back to that thought, that split second decision. It's like, all right, like this is easy. I'm thinking I want this right now. So now this thought in my brain is telling me exactly why I should not do it. Like that's all it is. It's recognizing that pattern.
Yeah, exactly. I always like to explain it. If you ever played like Mortal Kombat or seen it before, right? There's like the two fighters or whatever. And I imagine one is like your mentally tough side of your brain. And then the other one is your little bitch voice. And the more that you give in to comfort and complacency, the bitch voice side is going to win more often in your subconscious. It's going to revert to taking the easy way out, versus the more struggle and adversity that you put yourself through and continue to go through, it's strengthening that mentally tough side. And your subconscious, like you said, like rewiring your brain pretty much is going to revert by default to do the hard thing rather than run from it.
Mm-hmm. Do you try to have any balance?
No. I can't. I'm a very like extreme person, and like I can't do balance. I'm either gonna go one way or the other. Like I can't. I don't know. Like I'm either doing something full throttle or I'm not doing it at all, pretty much. Which I don't know if that's mentally like healthy or whatever, but it's worked out pretty well so far.
I think most successful people are on the same page there.
It's probably like I noticed a lot of successful people too have ADHD, and I feel like that's ADHD. I do too. Like I took an Adderall right before this because like my brain is so dead from this cut right now. I needed the extra focus.
You take Adderall every day?
Yeah, I do.
How long have you been on Adderall?
I think a year now.
You started that after we started working together.
Yeah. Why did I never say anything?
No, because I don't have it in your notes. I look right now.
Okay. Oh yeah, on Adderall.
I take Adderall too, and there's a lot of controversy around Adderall. There's like better things to take. I honestly haven't looked into any of those just because I love Adderall and it works great for me. Like honestly, like that's really it. There probably is like some better shit you could take, some more natural things, but I just know every time I take Adderall, I just get to work and make a lot of fucking money. So that's just
it works really well for me too. Medications are so weird too, because like I've tried Ritalin as well, and like it didn't work nearly as well for me. But then the Adderall, like I like it at a dosage for me to where I'm not like robotic. I'm not too zoned in. Like I still have a little bit of like the, I guess, ADHD symptoms, like the creative thoughts and everything, but it definitely helps me not get distracted or anything. And like, yeah, there's like the whole like being more natural side of things as well. That was another thing about the Marines is like your body is very durable. Like I was so unhealthy. Every Marine is like just multiple energy drinks a day, packs of cigs, dip, getting so fucked up on the weekend, drinking bottles during the week as well. Like, I mean,
yeah.
So it's like, I try to be as healthy as I can, obviously with PEDs and everything, but like at the same time, if something works, it works. And I'm going to use it in the healthiest way possible, of course, but.
How much do you take?
Adderall, I take 20 milligrams of like the extended release one.
You take extended release?
Yeah, in the morning. And then I have 5 milligrams of the instant release in the afternoon. Okay.
Yeah. I just do 20 milligrams of this instant release one.
Okay. And how long does that last you usually?
Like 6, 7, 8 hours.
Really?
Yeah.
I know mine's like 3 or 4.
But honestly, I don't know. I really don't even pay attention because I think it's just, it hits me. I get into that flow state and I just continue that flow state. So maybe it's wearing off, but it's like I'm already zoned in at that point to that state. So that's why I don't like to, like, once I start working, I haven't started training again yet, but I will train after one meal and then work afterwards. Cause I know for me personally, like once I train, if I start working, like I don't want to stop working and then go stop train and then come back to work. Like I want to get one thing done and then be able to zone in on work and just fucking follow that through until I'm done for the day pretty much. And I'll work till like 10, 11, 12.
Oh yeah. That's how I am too. Cause if I get out of the, the flow state, like you were saying, then I'm pretty much fucked. It's really hard to get back into it. Whenever I'm in it, it's like I'm locked the fuck in, shaders are on. I'm not paying attention to anything else at all.
Yeah, exactly. So I see you talk a lot about masculinity now. You're big on the masculinity aspect. What do you think the biggest issue that is being faced right now in this generation as far as masculinity goes?
So one of the number one issues as far as masculinity goes is relating back to the struggle and adversity aspect. And it's, guys get their confidence from how capable they are as a man. And if you're never going through any struggle and adversity, like most men in America, specifically today, you're not showing yourself how capable you are at overcoming struggle and adversity. Because that's where men for all of time pretty much have derived their value from, being able to get shit done through struggle and adversity and providing to others. And so a lot of guys, since they're not being forced to go through this struggle and adversity and with, drinking culture and everything, they aren't getting any real confidence in themselves. So they develop this like false confidence, I say, where like they're these really loud douchebag types, dude, where they're trying to portray confidence, but it's not real. It's because they're insecure and they don't actually know if they're capable of doing things. It's like the guy that's never been in a fight before, but he's bragging about how good he can fight and like trying to pick fights with everybody, but he's never been in a fight before. It's like he's trying to match that insecurity by being extra loud. So that's definitely one of them. And then a lot of guys are honestly just like in like dating culture too, like being really soft. Like a lot of guys are accepting things they don't really want from women because they're too afraid of being alone. Like my one buddy, for example, he was talking to this girl that like, he's Christian, for example, he's religious, and he wanted a girlfriend that was religious. She wasn't. And she was kind of like a hoe type girl. And I was like telling him like, oh, I don't know about this. So I'm starting to fall for her more and more. And then, and it was because he was afraid he didn't want to be alone. And so he was just taking what he could get kind of thing. So a lot of guys, they are afraid of being alone and they just want somebody in their life. So they'll take whatever they can get. And then they're stuck with this girl that they're like bowing down to pretty much. And they, stop trying to chase their goals and everything. And they become demasculinized. I don't know what that word would be.
Emasculated?
Yeah, emasculated. Yeah, that one. Yeah. And so, I don't know. It's just, and I feel like low testosterone levels probably play a part in that too, with like the levels being lower now than they were like 50, 60 years ago. And then also everybody, the man the fuck up, that phrase, right, is like demonized today. And there's a right way to say it and a wrong way to say it. We should be teaching men how to analyze their emotions and learn the root cause of those emotions and how to fix it rather than just telling them to man the fuck up and get shit done. But also don't allow those emotions to stop you from doing the shit that you need to be doing. They're not an excuse for not doing the shit that you need to be doing. And that's another big thing that guys, because girls, a lot of times, you have a girlfriend, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if your girlfriend's anything like mine, like a lot of times she just wants to complain and doesn't want a solution. And I try to give her a solution and she gets upset with me. Like girls will feel better a lot of times just by venting, but a lot of guys, they don't feel better from that. They get validated for a moment or two about their emotions and they might feel better for a second, but it's not fixing that root cause. And they deal with all these emotions they shove back into their subconscious and they come out in other ways too.
Mm-hmm. Repression. Yeah. It's it's terrible. I think, that's something that was really big in prior generations, obviously. So I think there are benefits to like the whole men's mental health aspect that has, arise in today's generation. I think with anything, like there's people just get like extreme with anything and they take shit like in a direction that it shouldn't be in, like with the body positivity, men's health. It's like, this is not a fucking, we're not saying that you should be fat. We're saying like, you should, not hate yourself, right? Like don't fucking hate yourself. We're not saying that, you should just repress everything and get shit done no matter what. Like, but at the end of the day, what was I saying? Men's mental health. I think they advocate for like it's like the comfort aspect, the emotional, like it's okay to do this, it's okay to that. And then there's like the extreme end of it where people take it as, men can be super emotional, whatever, and they like try to disregard the man the fuck up aspect of it, which there is. Like, again, don't repress shit, but there are times where like you can't affect what is going on mentally. You should never allow what's going on mentally to affect the shit you need to get done. Like you need to be able to fucking tune that out and move forward, but that doesn't mean repress it. Like there's a time to get shit done. There's a time to sit there and, reflect as to what's going on and try to figure that out and really understand why you're feeling that way and address it. And a lot of guys, like, they just have like years and years of just repression and things they don't understand why they feel the way that they do. Which could be a lot harder to get down to the root cause of that. I don't know how you feel about therapy and things like that. I think with any profession, there's good therapists, there's bad therapists. I think the main benefit from therapy is it helps some people gain the self-awareness that they're not able to gain themselves. It's just it's an outside voice telling them to reflect in that aspect. But then people look at it as, oh, this guy's going to give me like a solution and like help me fix everything. It's like, no, it's just helping you recognize what's going on so that you're able to address it in the way that you need to.
Yeah, exactly. I made a video about therapy the other day, actually. And pretty much the way I kind of describe things to people, because a lot of people are so lost on what like your subconscious mind is and everything. Like they can't comprehend the fact that these are thoughts you're having that you don't really understand a lot of times for most people. And I describe it as like your subconscious mind, right, is like the engine that is driving your thoughts and your actions that are conscious. So a therapist is essentially helping you figure out what is going on that's making that engine run whenever a light comes on the dashboard and tells you something is wrong, which would be your emotions. And a lot of guys, like you said, yeah, they're going to therapy for solutions when that isn't what they should be going there for. They should be going there to try to understand the root causes better. And I got asked a question on my story the other day. It was about if therapy is good for everybody. And therapy didn't work for me. I've tried like 3 therapists and they always would end up being like, oh, well, you kind of already know what you're talking about. And so I was like, okay, well, this is fucking pointless. I know more than this person or what they're going to tell me already. But somebody asked me the other day if it works for everybody. And my dad is like narcissistic or whatever, and he is a therapist. And so sociopaths and narcissists actually get an adverse effect from talk therapy because their version of reality is so diluted that they're telling the therapist their delusional version. And then they get told they're in the right and the other people are narcissists or in the wrong or whatever. And so then it further validates their feelings. So it actually does the opposite for some people.
Isn't that what, like, wouldn't a psychiatrist be more geared towards those type of people?
Yeah, but a lot of times what you need is therapy. The therapist needs to be, or psychiatrist even, needs to talk to like the other members of the family or other people in their life so they can get the other perspectives of what's actually happening, because that person's reality is what they're telling the therapist, you know? And my dad, for example, only reason he got diagnosed is because my aunt wrote into his therapist about the reality of the situation, you know?
Yeah.
So
that's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're already self-aware, I don't see how beneficial it could really do. That's just where it comes. Most people don't have the awareness, but I mean, maybe somebody can provide some insights, some ways that you can address things, you know, to help you dive deeper. But other than that, I mean, I don't really know. I had to go to therapy a lot when I was younger because my parents were always, very abusive, that whole situation. So I would always just be dragged into it. I had this one therapist. I remember I would sit there and this fucking guy, it's actually hilarious. I wish there was like a short form comedy remake of this scenario because it's insane. I would sit there with this guy and this guy would have pictures of him and John Travolta like in the office and shit. And I'm fucking 6, 7, 8 years old, something like that. And this guy would just sit there and talk to me about how he knew John Travolta. He's like, yeah, my buddy John is coming down for dinner this weekend. He's in Queens shooting The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3. He's just every fucking time I go in there, I'm just like 7 years old. I'm like, yeah, like I just want to be in a happy family. And he's like, oh, fucking John Travolta's coming down this weekend. He's like, it's just bragging to me about this guy. It's fucking crazy.
That's wild.
But yeah, so it didn't help me at all, but
no, yeah.
A funny experience, I guess.
There's definitely like predatory therapists as well. Like they get paid by appointment. And a lot of times they'll tell you just what you want to, like the last therapist I tried, for example, I knew she was just telling me what I wanted to hear because I would like kind of test her. Like I'd tell her a situation where I knew I was in the wrong with my girlfriend, for example, and she tried to make it out like I was in the right. And I'd stop her and be like, well, actually, like, you know, I look at things from her perspective as well. And, you know, I was doing something wrong. And she'd kind of like backtrack a little bit. And I was like, this bitch is just telling me what I want to hear. That way I come back the next week, to feel happy. And it's like, that shouldn't be your job. You should be analyzing and telling people whenever they're in the wrong too.
You don't recognize that everything is a business. Everything is a business, you know, coaches, therapists, psychiatrists, doctors. There's very few people in these fields, chiropractors that are actually invested into wanting to help you fix a root issue. They just want to put a Band-Aid on a solution and potentially try to get you to keep coming back. That's what it is.
Yeah, it's more expensive to treat something than it is, or wait, is it more expensive to treat something than it is to fix it?
Yeah. I mean, in terms of the profession, because they're losing money now. They've now
fixed
it.
They've
now fixed it. You're gone. They're losing that income. You know, I've gone to so many chiropractors, doctors, physical therapists over the years when I had, the sciatic nerve issues. Oh, it's piriformis syndrome. It's this and that. You don't need an MRI. You just do this decompression table, do all this bullshit over and over. Have me coming back for years and years and years until I ran into a guy and he was like, listen, like, we're going to try this for 4 weeks. And he was like, yeah, like, nobody can help you. I can't help you. You need to get surgery. He's like, I don't want to spend any of your money. Like, I don't want you to waste time here. He's like, you need to get surgery. That's the only way this is going to be fixed. And it's like, I've never had anybody, 8 years of dealing with this, I've never had anybody tell me that ever. It's always just like, yeah, we'll just keep trying. We'll just manage it over and over. You don't need to do that. No need to get scans, whatever. It's just crazy.
Yeah, it's amazing because at the end of the day, they're just fucking people over. Like, you could have that surgery, for example, a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm. Could have had it done years ago. Should have had it done years ago.
Yeah. At the end of the day, money is the root of a lot of evil. I won't say all evil, but a lot of evil.
Mm-hmm. When you had that disc issue, you had sciatica. Was that the pain you had?
Yeah. So I had, what disc was it? So I have a bulge disc and then a herniated disc below it. And it was like my S1 nerve that was being compressed, I think. So it was like, I had this shooting pain that would go all the way down my back and then down my legs into my knee, and like my lower back would like tense up as well. And I found out because like I was pretty good at PT in the Marines. Like, I never fell out of anything. I was good at hikes and everything. And then whenever we got back, so I started deadlifting whenever we were on deployment. And, I went from like being able to deadlift 135 to like 475 over a couple months. Like, and it was too heavy for me probably. And I started getting this back pain. And then I started falling out of hikes. So like, whenever they're hiking, they don't stop for anything. And I would just start slowly falling back and back and back. And I would try to tell them like, something is fucking wrong. Like, this is not me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not someone but like something is really, really fucked. Like, my back would spasm and shit. And they wouldn't let me get an MRI for like 6 months. And then I finally got one and found out, that it was a bulged and herniated disc and then with nerve compression or whatever.
So what did you do?
I pretty much just did like physical therapy, and whenever I got out, I did a lot of yoga actually. And I haven't dealt with the nerve stuff in 2 or 3 years. My back's been pretty much fine. I just don't do a lot of like bent over shit or anything like that. I use a belt usually, stuff like that.
That's great.
Yeah. Mine wasn't like yours where I had to get surgery. Luckily, like, I don't know if I found out soon enough or what, but
yeah, no, I had mine since I was 16 or 17, so like 8 years.
And you were lifting heavy, like all throughout that time.
Yeah, I was squatting. I think the most I squatted was 565, 575 with this fucking thing. I pulled over 600 pounds. I was doing this, I would always RDL like 5 plates routinely. Like, I was just fucking myself up over and over again. Just probably, maybe it could have resolved on its own, but I never knew it was a disc issue. It was just, this muscle back here is tight. It's irritating this. So just gotta dig in there, break it up, even though that's not how it even fucking works. It's all bullshit.
And you're like me probably too, where like, you don't want to be a pussy, like, so you're just going to keep pushing through it. I'm like, whenever I have to go to the hospital for something too, like, I'll wait until I'm about to fucking die from something, because I don't want to go there and then tell me it's nothing and be like, oh, you're just being a bitch. So like my appendix almost fucking exploded on me because I waited until I almost had it blow up. I passed out and then went to the hospital and found out it was my appendix. But I don't like letting stuff stop me, even though I probably should sometimes. That's whenever I got out of the Marines, my first coach all the time, he'd fucking yell at me whenever we were training because I'd keep going after I was exhausted already and like recruiting other muscle tissue and stuff because I didn't have an off switch. He's like, you're going to fucking, fuck yourself up,
Uh-huh.
So yeah, that's one thing I've tried to learn.
Gotta know the limit. What do you think is, how long have you been with your girlfriend for?
3 years.
3 years. So you met her after you came out.
Yes, I met her actually, about 8 months after I got out, 9, something like that.
Okay. And you had prior relationships to this?
So going into the Marines, I had a girlfriend of 3 years, but we broke up. Just because in the Marines, I describe them as like Viking pirates. It's strip clubs, getting fucked up, trying to get laid as much as you can, and like being around that. A relationship just isn't going to work. So we broke up. Then I was pretty much a whore for like 3 years, and then got out. Didn't talk to any girls. Took this like 9-10 months to myself, and then met her. And then we started dating.
Do you think that for the prior experience through relationships helped with this, the one you're in now?
Oh yeah, 100%. It helped me to first off like figure out the difference between like, you know, like a hoey type chick and a good chick, right? Because in high school I was like a pretty naive like relationship type guy, you know, and then I met all these girls near the base that were just like, I mean, a lot of these girls are like prostitutes on the side. You'd add them on Snapchat and they'd have like a private story like, hey, suck your dick for 150, sex for 300.
Where is this?
Jacksonville, North Carolina. It's right outside of Camp Lejeune.
Okay.
All military bases are like this too. They're like literal hell on earth. So I went into this stage where like I just hated women. I was like, loved women, but hated them like in the sense that I didn't think I would ever date anybody again. I had this perception that they were all fucking like this. And so after that experience, I was like, okay, I don't even want anything to do with this shit anymore. And then I took that like 10 months to myself and was okay with finally like being alone by myself, and actually preferred it because that was whenever I started bodybuilding. And she went to high school with me, my current girlfriend. And I saw her Instagram and I looked on her Instagram. There was like no ass pics, nothing like that. And I was like, huh, that's interesting. So I shot her a DM, and she actually almost didn't reply to me because she remembered when I was in the Marines, like the shit I would post on my stories and stuff, and was like, oh, this guy's a douchebag. But she did. And like, we ended up talking, and she was like, oh, he's not a fucking asshole. And then we started dating. But yeah, definitely, I would say gave me some perspective, you know, going into it.
Yeah, definitely. What would you keep saying like hoey type of girl? So what do you define as hoey type of girl?
Like a hoey type of girl. Like a lot of these girls today are just like going out trying to get laid like a dude, pretty much.
It's outside.
And yeah, like it's pretty bad. And like a lot of these girls too, they're going out with like their tits hanging out, their ass hanging out, and like I said, trying to get laid. A lot of these like hoey type girls, they're talking to like 10-15 dudes at once, and like having like a bunch of fuck buddies and stuff, girls like that.
Now, how do you feel about it on the opposite end of the spectrum? Because, you know, there's the whole concept of it's okay for men to do that, but not okay for women.
Yeah. So I used to definitely be of the mindset of it's okay for guys and then not okay for girls. But then I started to look at it like there's this circle that's kind of happening where guys are just trying to get laid. And so they'll talk to like a girl that would have been like a decent, good girl, and then they'll fuck her over. And then she's like, fuck all men, and starts just trying to have sex with them rather than, you know, trying to date. And it's like this fucked up circle that keeps happening. So I do think there's a certain aspect to it too, that is like mental hardwiring of thousands of years. All right. Where guys just want to like spread their seed and get laid, kind of like for a lot of guys, you know what I'm saying though? Like a lot of guys, it's not really an emotional thing fucking a girl, versus for a lot of girls, there's an emotional side of it. And also for a girl, it's easy to get laid. You don't need any type of skill to get laid. If you're a decent looking chick, you can walk into a bar. It's not that hard to fuck a decent looking dude, versus a guy, even if you are good looking, to fuck a girl that is as good looking as you are, it's way more difficult. You got to have some game and be able to talk well. So there's that aspect of it as well, I would say, you know?
Mm-hmm. So do you subscribe to the mindset that it is more justifiable for a man?
Yeah, I would say, yeah, more justifiable, because I can understand it more, you know?
Mm-hmm. I understand. I mean, obviously I understand all of it, but I think it comes back to the whole thing of what we were saying of, you know, adversity. It sounds stupid, but it's adversity. I think I'm not a fucking woman, but I could just assume based off of biology and based off of all life experience and every fucking person you know, there's a lot more temptation for a man, right? But the thing is like, if you give into temptation, you know, you're only as weak, you're only as strong as that. So that's it. Is you know, you're in a committed relationship, you're with somebody, and you may love them, but you know, there's always going to be temptation around. There's always going to be attractive people, but it's like, do you fall into that, right? And there's all this justification with a Sigma alpha male TikTok, all that shit. Oh, it's okay. You know, I'm, you know, these fucking all the kings had multiple wives. It's like it's not, we're not fucking in 1800 BC, whatever the fucking year it was, but it just comes back to the idea of like, can you control your desire? If you fall into all your, how you do anything in life is how you do everything. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, that's actually, I got lost in my thoughts, and that was the other thing I was going to bring up. Yeah, it's like, you know, being a man, and part of masculinity is being able to, like you just said, controlling your emotions. And probably one of the strongest emotions for men is the urge to, like I said, like spread your seed, get laid, fuck, whatever. And if you can't control that, then you don't have control of your mind, your emotions. And like you said, how you do one thing is how you do everything. So, and I think there's actually a study out there too. I haven't read it. It's something about like after a certain amount of bodies for a girl, it actually has a pretty impactful, it is pretty impactful on her capability of developing relationships. I forget the exact correlation and everything, but there's something about like after I think a girl has like 12 bodies or something, it becomes increasingly more difficult for her to form long-term relationships.
I know what you're talking about. It's something like bonding or some shit, like something along the lines. I don't remember exactly what it is, but I know what you're talking about. It's harder for them to actually develop that connection, which it makes it's just all wiring. It's all wiring in any aspect.
Yeah,
I think it's probably. I mean, it is less emotional for men, but I think could be the same way to a certain extent too. Because like, right, you sleep around a lot, you see all these women, everybody's a hoe. So it's like you lose that sense of trust, right? It's like you start questioning everything when you actually meet somebody that is, you know, a good person. It's like, oh, this is there's more to this, but is there really? So you've just programmed yourself to view everything that way through your own experience.
Yeah, exactly. And that's after I had that little hoe stage, that was when I began to realize, like, I almost got a little disgusted with myself, and I was like, why are you even doing this? Like, you know, you don't like any of these chicks, and you're wasting so much time and energy just trying to get laid, and for what? Like,
there's no fulfillment in it. There's no fulfillment.
Yeah,
it's no waste of time.
Waste of time. And it's like, yeah, pretty much everything we talked about, it all wraps around into this shit. Like, it's instant gratification. Like, I'm not working on myself. That way I feel good for a moment of getting laid. Like, and that's that, you know?
Yeah. It's literally,
everything wraps around to the same shit.
It plays into the whole, you want to impress other people. I mean, not even that. It's like people just don't even understand their own psyche at the same time too. Like they get that instant sense of gratification. Now they have to chase it over and over again. And that like it just deters you from doing other shit, right? Especially when you're like in that phase, and because it's a process, right? It's not like you could just, I mean, like you can with apps and stuff, but it's more effort obviously than compared to like having an actual partner, right? Like you gotta go out, you gotta get ready, you gotta like take time out of your fucking day to do this shit. Now it's a fucking waste of time for nothing, for absolutely nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, pretty much. And yeah, it was just, I definitely over the years definitely changed my mindset towards that. And I think a lot of guys too, they feel the need to talk to a lot of girls at once, and they start to derive their confidence from that. Just like a lot of guys are like, oh, these girls talk to all these guys for validation stuff, but there's a lot of guys that do the exact same fucking thing. And so they waste all this time trying to get validation from chicks. And that's where they get their confidence from, rather than doing hard shit and developing that confidence within themselves from showing they're capable of overcoming adversity and struggle.
Definitely. Now, would you say, like you said, you had a buddy, right? He started falling for this chick that you were not very, very fond of, right? So do you subscribe to the mentality of that the person's past entirely determines their value, or like how they should be perceived, right? Like this person could have been going through this extreme phase, but maybe, you know, they've gone through this, they've realized these patterns, right? And now they want to, obviously, like there's always going to be shit that follows you, but how do you view that?
So I view that, like, this comes down to like the body count thing as well for girls. So like, I view these as not stop signs, but like a yield sign, and assess the person further and see if they've grown from those past experiences, or if they're still that same person that made that same mistake in the past, or whatever it is. Because like a high body count might be an indicator that somebody is insecure that could lead to further issues down the road, or any of them really. Like So you can't define someone by their past, but it's definitely a good sign that you might need to look at them a little bit closer and see if they've learned from those past experiences and grown from them.
Mm-hmm. It's hard to really get those things out of people though when you first meet them.
Yeah, it comes down to like experiencing things with them. At the end of the day, I feel like you have to. It takes time. A lot of times, like you got to see how they are when they're out with their friends alone. You have to see how they are whenever they're, out with you. All this kind of stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. The guys are very emotional. They get very caught up. They want to control everything. It's like, they just make everything worse and they put themselves through all the stresses because I like this person. So I want them to be this certain way. And they try to, make them be a certain way. And it just, for what, it never works out.
Yeah. A lot of guys, it's funny you said that too. I made a video on that about I feel like guys are a lot more emotional than girls. I feel like guys almost have this superpower from their testosterone. Right. And, and the way our minds are wired to want to be more ambitious and dominant and all this stuff. But masculinity is learning to control that and use it for good things and for, growing yourself and becoming better. But a lot of these guys, like you said, they never learn to control that, testosterone, the emotions that come with it. And they become controlling. Guys commit most rape, murder, all this stuff because they don't have control of their emotions.
Yeah, that's absolutely fucking insane. But
yeah. There was a statistic I read. And it was, if you brought in the amount of rapes that happen in prison, men would actually be raped more in America than women, which is fucking nuts.
Wow.
Yeah. Terrifying too. Fuck that. I ain't never going.
Yeah. No. I would flee before I ever went there.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Fuck all that.
So what did you really do to start growing? To be what helped you? Were there specific things that you were doing that helped you start growing the business to become, a higher level to get to where you're at now?
Yeah. So at the end of the day, the biggest thing for me obviously was content to bring in clients. But the reason that I was able to retain a lot of the clients that I got in the beginning and they stuck with me was I literally, and I still do this too, is I put all my time and energy into them. I was texting them throughout the week, checking up on them. As soon as they were texting me, I was texting them back and I had this really open form of communication and I truly, really cared about them and they could feel that. So they would stay with me. And that also made them want to work hard for me because I was giving them all that time and energy. So it kind of compiled into these testimonials and transformations and stuff that would bring in more clients and it just kind of growed from there.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think that's the most overlooked aspect of coaching is the relationship, the psychological aspect behind it. Because I try to be hands-on with a lot of my guys. And then I've talked about my relationship with Phil. Obviously I think Phil's very intelligent. He's a very smart person, but it's not I think that somebody else, there aren't other intelligent coaches in this industry that I could, get amazing progress from, maybe the same, whatever. It's more so just the relationship that I have with Phil and that he's always on my ass. And he literally, it's he's fucking always trying to push me. It might get annoying sometimes, but it's that's what kind of helps. And that's what I need. And that's just what you hear you guys talk about, guys like Hani and stuff. These guys aren't doing anything special. There's nothing special. There's nothing that they know that you don't. Yeah, sure they are. Compared to most people, fucking probably there is. But it's really the relationship, how he gets into people's head. Yeah.
It makes having somebody that wants to, I guess, almost impress you or work hard for you is going to pay off way more than having anything special. Like you said, most people are doing the same shit as far as programming and nutrition and everything. That's the biggest part, is making someone mentally want to push themselves to impress you sometimes, or they just want to work hard for you because you're giving them that energy in return too. And just helping people develop the mentality they need to grow too. I've noticed that's a big thing for people. I've had some clients that they don't make any progress for 3 months. And then we have some conversation or something that shifts their entire mentality. And then the next 6 months, they make a ton of progress just because of the mental shift.
100%. Yeah. If your mental state is not right, it's going to transfer in everything. I've seen it so many times with guys where everything's, missing this, missing that, they can't get into it. Their stress is overtaking, can't manage stress. And you can help somebody so much, give them advice, but when they actually start putting it into practice, you'll see a massive shift.
Yeah. And it's the most rewarding feeling in the fucking world too. Cause you saw this guy that felt so, had such low confidence in himself, didn't feel capable. And then he just made this mindset shift and started making all this progress. And it's just, I don't know. I feel like I always say coaching is like the one job I would do where if money wasn't a thing in the world, I would still do it, because that's the most rewarding aspect of it for me, is seeing people's entire life change, because that mentality pours into all the other aspects of their life.
100%. Yeah. I mean, the best coaches are the ones who are actually invested in people and care about them. You know, there's people who are, most of them are just solely focused on the monetization money aspect. Everything is quick, fast money. And you could do it that way. You could run it up and then you could have your bag there, last for a little bit, but it's going to come back to bite you in the ass. And, it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable to do it that way. And really, like, I mean, from a moral standpoint, I can't really agree with it either, because you're just kind of fucking people, right? You're not actually investing to helping them, but those people are always going to exist. It's just hard to tell that from the consumer aspect as to how to know who to trust, especially when a lot of these guys have very good reputations. And you know what they're doing behind the scenes. You know, they got fucking 300 clients. They're having people ghost coach. Like, it's just a fucking shit show.
Yeah, it's bad. I know I've definitely had a couple friends that have had run-ins with coaches like that. And it's just like, you're really disappointed. It's like one of those things, like, don't meet your hero kind of thing. It's like, man, dude, are you kidding me? Like, I expected so much from this person. I just had this great idea of who they were. And then you have that hands-on experience and you're just let down, and it's sad.
Yeah. Do you ever have shitty experiences with clients or no?
With clients?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. I had, this one. So it was probably in my first 2 months of taking it full time. And I had this guy, and he was real weird right off the bat. He was calling, he said like daddy, like once or twice in his text to me. I was like, what the fuck? And my girlfriend said it was like a Philadelphia thing or something. I don't know. So I was whatever.
That's not a Philadelphia thing.
That's what I was like, what the fuck? But he had a wife and everything. So it's just like, all right, whatever. I just kind of brushed it off, whatever. So I'm coaching him. He's not really making much progress at all. And he's telling me that he was like doing 2 lifts a day or something when I didn't have that program for him. And I pretty much just told him, I was like, look, if you're not dead from your first workout and you're still hitting that same muscle group later in the day, you probably aren't lifting hard enough in the first one. But if you really want to do 2 lifts a day, like you should have extra time, like I can program it in for you if that's what you want, but it's not going to be as effective, blah, blah, blah. And so then the next check-ins, he sends me this text and is like, hey, I'm gonna have to leave, whatever, da. So then I shot him an email the other day, like saying, hey, you still owe me for a month of coaching. Like, I coached you for that month and you just left out of nowhere. And he sent me this huge paragraph saying, you're a little fucking Hitler. You're a narcissist. You told me I wasn't working hard enough and all this shit. It was this huge paragraph just shitting on me. And I was like, what the fuck is this, man? Like, it was wild.
That's insane. Yeah. I can't even, I've had a good amount of run-ins. I can't even honestly remember them though. And I just get rid of people. If I notice anything is off, it's like, I don't want to fucking deal with that. You're wasting my time. You're wasting energy. Even when like I reach out to people, it's another thing is when you are trying to grow a business, everybody, again, they're all focused on money. And when you're only focused on that, you're not going to get good clients. You're not going to get the people that you want to work with. You're going to get people that are just, there to fuck around, whatever. And I can tell it so easily now. Like I literally reached out to somebody the other day for that had an application, and you could tell just by the way they respond, right? Like, hey, is this X and X? And they're like, yes. Like they're just like monotone. Like it's like, all right, you're like not invested into this whatsoever. So I'm just gonna hang up right now. Like this is we're done. Like there's no point. Or when you call them and the first thing they ask is how much is this? Because now you know where their priority is. It's not in actually progressing and wanting to work with you. It's trying to window shop and find the cheapest option. So when anybody asks, I will never answer that question just because I know the type of person that it brings in. Not because it's like I'm trying to gatekeep something. It's just the people who their primary focus is how much money do I want to spend for right off the jump. They're not good clients because the way that I see is, again, when there's a will, there's a way. If you want to work with me, I don't want to say this to sound like out of touch with reality or something, because I'm not, because it's the way that I am. It's the way that I always would have been. It's like, if you want to work with me, you really want to work with me, it doesn't matter if it's 200, 400, 500, 600. If like this is what you want to do and you want to progress, you're going to find a way to make it work. You're going to figure the fuck out. If I had to get 2 jobs because I wanted to work with Phil, I would have fucking done it. Like that's where my priority is. It's like, I want people who are there to actually work and are going to put the effort in and follow through and willing to do whatever it takes. But then people will say they're willing to do whatever it takes. And they're like, oh, this is actually, a little bit out of my budget, even though they'll say that it was in their budget. It's like, okay, like automatically you're you're not going to be a good client. You're gone.
Yeah. Yeah. Not even worth the time at the end of the day. I had someone like that the other week, actually. And he was like, I gave him all the information. Then he was like, well, I have to schedule a couple calls with other coaches next week. What time? And I was like, dude, if you want to work with me, that's cool. But like, I'm not here to compete with other coaches or anything. Like, it's cool if you want to go do that. But like, you know, if you don't want to sign up with me that bad, like, I'm sure those other 2 coaches are great. Go with them. Like, I just don't have time, nor do I really care to deal with that.
Yeah, no, people will hear this and they're not going to understand it because one, they don't run a business, and like, I understand where some people can be coming from, but it's just the reality that they aren't aware of. Like, they think it's just about trying to sell people. And it's like, oh, I need your money right now. It's like, oh, like, I'm not going to tell you the price till after this or whatever. It's the reality is just scoping the type of individual that you are. It's you could tell these things, and you may not be able to recognize in yourself. One of the first conversations I ever had with Phil, I was like 18 or 19 years old. I messaged him. I asked him, I was like, how much is coaching? And he first said to me, he was like, you're not serious. He was like, I'm not coaching you. And at that time I was like, this guy's an asshole. I didn't understand at that point. But now it's like, I look back, it's like, yeah, like I wouldn't have fucking answered me. I wouldn't have coached me either. Cause it's like, my priority was not in actually just wanting to work with him and make it happen. It was just like, can I afford this? Is this in my budget? And it's like, I could have made it in my budget. I could have figured out a way to make it happen if I really wanted that. And the people that you want to work with are the people that are willing to do whatever it takes. They're going to make it work. It's like, oh, I can't afford chicken this week. It's like, bro, like, fucking, you came into this, like, figure it the fuck out. It's not a lack of empathy. It's just the reality. When there's a will, there's always going to be a way. And those are the people that you want on your team. Oh
yeah. 100%. Yeah. That's such an underrated phrase. If there's a will, there's a way, because that's the truth of it. Like, whenever a guy wants to get laid, he'll do anything he can to go get to that chick, or like, I'll see a lot of guys, they're lifting in the gym and they're going half-ass, but they're acting like they're going, full throttle. A hot girl walks by, all of a sudden they're going up in weight and doing 10 reps with it. And it's like, bitch, where was that energy whenever, sorry, my dog is fucking with me. Before that chick walked in, like, a lot of people just don't want to put the energy into it because they don't want it bad enough. Like,
exactly. That's what it always comes back to. You don't want it bad enough. And if you don't want it bad enough, I don't want to deal with it. You go work with somebody else that just wants to take your money, give you a little program and doesn't care that you're not progressing every week and you're not doing what it takes, because they're just making the money. It's like, I'm only interested in helping people and working with people that are going to put the effort in. Sure, like, they're not saying that there's not situations where we can work around. Like, I understand financial struggle and those things, but if I can immediately recognize that you don't have the mentality of the person that I want to work with, then we're not going to work together. That's it. And you can tell that just by the first few things that somebody says to you.
Oh yeah, exactly. And it's funny how a lot of people would take that as arrogance or something, when in reality, it's just you not wanting to fuck them over, because they probably won't be successful in the program because they already have that mentality going into it. And so it's like not worth your time or theirs at the end of the day, really.
And then it also can hurt your reputation, because at the end of the day, everything comes back to the coach. Doesn't matter if the client fucked off to whatever. Like, they could go and write a fucking whole forum about you. They could badmouth you, and like, unless then the only way to combat that is now you got to show up, give receipts, and show everything that actually happened. Like, that's just a whole thing. Nobody wants to fucking deal with that. If I could already tell you to be that type of person that where this could even potentially happen, and now your progress is whatever you do is a reflection of my being under my guidance. Nobody knows what's going on the inside between us. So you need to look out for, as just being from a smart business perspective. Like, you don't want those people associated with your name.
I remember, what the fuck's his name? I forget who it was. There was some influencer that was doing a show. I think it was like last year or something. And he went on stage and looked like shit. And I think I don't remember the exact situation, but I think he was shitting on his coach. But his coach like put the texts out that he was like making himself throw up and stuff leading up to the show.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. And everybody thought the coach was the bad guy, but I went to his page and saw the texts, and I was like, wow, I can't believe he's getting all this heat whenever he didn't even do anything.
That's how it is. It happens. Yeah. It happens more than you think. Even with it happens a lot. This is why, like, I genuinely enjoy coaching more lifestyle people than bodybuilding people. I have no intention of being like a high level bodybuilding coach, even though like I do have this feeling inside of me where it's like, oh, like I really should do this, because I hate saying these things because it just makes me sound like arrogant, but it's just the truth is that I just know I'm a lot more intelligent than these guys. I just don't have the actual amount of practical application in that scenario, which is fair. It's fair. Like, obviously they have that. And that is a huge factor as well. But I don't even necessarily want to go down that road. Like, I have fine prepping my guys that are with me now and leading them into their first shows and growing from that aspect. But I would have no desire like taking on like a national level competitor or a pro level competitor from the start. Because now it's just like, it's way more effort on your end. So there's way more needed in that scenario. And there's so much more that comes back on you. Like a guy comes up flat, a guy comes up, spilled over. It's like, you don't know what could have happened in that prep. They could have had a fight with their girlfriend. All this shit could have happened. They could have been, not hitting all their cardio. All these things this person couldn't be doing. How they look on stage always just reflects it's the coach's fault. That's it. It's always the coach's fault when there's so many other factors that come into it and nobody's ever going to know.
Oh yeah. And then there's like, on top of that, there's the whole like social media brain rot. I mean, you remember after your show, that bullshit about people thinking that you were like upset backstage or something.
That was crazy.
And it's like a couple people said it. And I made a video actually after that. I don't know if you ever saw it, but I was like, that's not Sebastian. Like, he's my coach. And I know that was before you or anybody had come out and even said that it wasn't you. But I was like, I know that wasn't him. And all you were like a bunch of little fucking high schoolers talking shit when you don't even know what happened. And then sure enough, that's not what happened. But because a couple people said it and everybody wants to believe it, they all just fucking start going into this group thinking bullshit. That shit made me so mad.
No, it was insane. I literally had no idea what was going on. I got off stage, bro. That was the best I ever felt, honestly, just being off of my phone, being off social media. Like, I saw some shit start to come in, and my thought process was, the thing is, people feel entitled. And they're like, oh, like, I should feel entitled to be able to, like, now, like, go talk shit to this person. Like, are you fucking insane? Like, what are you talking about? Like, I needed to clear my mind and just be away from that, spend time with my girlfriend, spend time with my friends. And I felt great, like, not even having any association with that.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
And then I started getting sent these things that these people are making, people that I saw there, and nobody's ever saw these things. And these guys like just deliberately lying, influencers around our age that we all know. And who's calling me? And I saw one of these influencers at the gym. Like right before I saw the video, I saw them one at the gym, and he looked at me. I'm not going to say his name just because I honestly don't even give a fuck. But I saw this guy right at the gym. He looked right at me. He's training right next to me the whole time. Didn't say a single word to me. Later that day, I fucking, get sent a video that he made. So he either made it right before the gym or he made it after he saw me talking about how I'm not a man and how I'd had this temper tantrum. It's literally like, you just saw me and you couldn't even speak to me there. And now you're going and spreading a false rumor on the internet. Did you see me trigger you, or were you afraid when you saw me there? I don't know, but it's just fucking insane. And these kids still, after making that stuff, never heard anything back. They all, a few of them still, I see them save my videos. They're all liking it. It's fuck off.
And that comes down to the whole masculinity thing too. So many people are fucking afraid to say stuff to people. They'll go shout it online or whatever, but they won't say jack shit to somebody's face. And like, it makes people, like you said, feel entitled to say whatever the fuck they want and think there are no repercussions whatsoever. And then if you even respond to it, then you're the bad guy. You must be so angry because you're just responding to the video that they made. And it's like, what the fuck's wrong with you people?
Yeah. It's fucking crazy. We've been on here we've already been on here for a fucking hour, 40 minutes, which honestly went by pretty fast.
Yeah, it did.
You got anything going on here?
No, I just, got to eat my 2 chicken meals and my beef with rice at the end of the day. Thank fucking God.
There you go. Today's rest day?
Yeah. It's kind of nice because I don't have to lift, but I mean, the low carbs on the rest day definitely makes the rice taste really good at the end of the day. Like, I look forward to that shit just all day long.
Yeah, it does. I mean, you look full as fuck just sitting here.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's the L-carnitine, maybe. I don't know.
L-carnitine, yeah. L-carnitine is probably helping. Definitely.
I've been surprised with that. But I am a little bit afraid because my weight hasn't been going down a ton this week. So I'm kind of afraid for check-ins this week to see if things are going to get lowered or not.
No, I mean, how many weeks are into
We have 1 week left after this Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, you're lean. I'm not really fucking worried about you like getting shredded here. We're just going to, pick back up and start pushing and then blow the fuck up.
I'm excited. I'm sitting at like 181.6 as of this morning, 182 compared to 174 at the end of the last cut. So yeah, that's definitely been nice to see. Obviously, I think I'm holding some more water and stuff, but
we're gonna push your food up, and
that's what I figured. Since the growing period was going to be shorter, we'd probably jump into a bigger surplus or something. Is that okay?
Yeah, sweet. we're gonna push pretty hard.
Good,
within reason. But yeah, man. Anything? What'd you say?
Hey, I'm game. I'm trying to put on as much size as possible. So whatever the best approach is, just tell me what to do.
We got to fix your fucking posing.
Yeah, that's yeah. I've never been good with like any kind of footwork or anything. Like in football and lacrosse, I was known for being like just someone that plowed through people, not a footwork person. I've never been good at that shit. So I need to at big time.
Yeah, you got to come down here.
Yeah. I think I was saying maybe in the middle of July or something if you're around.
Yeah, just keep me posted here.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, man. Anything you want to plug before we hop off here?
No, I'm all good.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on. And everybody watching this, make sure you like this fucking video. Make sure you're subscribed. And see you on the next episode of Tack Bodybuilding.